Yay!
A picture.
There's so much good that can happen for us as a community in terms of like happening now throughout 2021 through all this like pandemic stuff. But then just with this coming around, like now everyone, I honestly just feel like everyone just feels so uncomfortable now. Like I can go to a Target and now I have to look over my back all the time and like be on high alert. And like I went to KBBQ yesterday. I'm just like, there's always like a sense of anxiety now, and like it really freaking sucks. Like that we can't just enjoy. We can't feel like that we can enjoy life and stuff like that. And now I'm starting to understand. Like not in terms of like I will never like understand the plight and stuff of like the history of like the black community, but now I'm starting to understand what the fear feels like and like what it feels like to be targeted and like what it. We're always supporters and stuff, and we're always trying to understand the feeling, but now it's starting to come up, and like it's really it's something crazy.
Yeah, I ended up writing a Twitter post recently about like everything. And I think like for being in Hawaii, it's like it's super different because we're freaking privileged. And I think that was the point where like for me still living here in Hawaii, dude, I was getting angry at just people around me because the failure to recognize, like here on island, everybody has this, like to themselves, like we're on an island, nothing's gonna hurt us. Like we're in a different world, different like people want to be a different country type of attitude. And I think amongst my peers here on island and people around me, there's a failure to recognize what our other brothers and sisters are going through elsewhere. Like I worry about you guys that are not here because I can recognize my privilege and understanding that me being here in a place where we are primarily double APIs, like yeah, I was just getting upset at people not recognizing that and just brushing it over, especially with some of my friends. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like you're failing to recognize the real shit that's happening just because it's not in our continent. And that's what I was getting really, really mad about.
Crazy. And I completely I feel you, Cameron, with oh, how, having to change that mindset of thinking about yourself, but then also including your partner and sustaining that. But I wanted to just add on to what you said, Zach, because you brought up some really good points. Because, I was talking to my parents this past Tuesday. I think it was the day after the shooting in Colorado. And they were just like, hey, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm scared, I'm paranoid, and all this, all that. And my mom was like, no, well, just don't think about it. And I was like, what do you mean, don't think about it? Like, they're in Hawaii, they rarely have to worry about these kinds of things, but to be shifted into me, I'm in the South, and these things are, there's a higher chance of it happening near me. Like, it's inevitable for me to feel this way. And I wish that, they could understand that, but they don't, because they're in this little beautiful bubble surrounded with their palm trees and stuff. So maybe that is what adds on to my feeling of isolation, is just that feeling that, my family members don't understand what I'm going through. And so I can't really talk to them about it. I can talk to them about it, but they wouldn't get to that level of understanding my fears or my anxiety and stuff like that. So
I was actually the one to tell my mom about what happened in Atlanta last week, because she doesn't really watch the news anymore because it's really upsetting for her. And she was in disbelief that like it actually happened. And I was like, yeah, like these women that died, like they're around like my tita's age. Like it could have happened to any one of us. And I think that's something that's like what made me realize that like just being women of color, people of color, our lives are so intersectional, because as a woman, like we're already taught or trained to like take all these safety measures when we're by ourselves, but there's just like another layer when you're a woman of color, because you know that's like something you have no control over, is when whether someone decides to approach you and cause harm because your presence to them poses a threat. And it's hard to come to terms with too.
I just wanted to say, Sam, my heart is with you. Like, you're not alone. Like, it's freaking scary.
Yeah.
And like, we're gonna hear these cliches a bunch of times, but it's true. Like, what we're feeling is really valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that we can have more conversations like this. And I'm really glad that we're having conversations like this with two males.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, we can't just keep these conversations happening just within women. Sometimes
Right.
you guys have to be uncomfortable and listen to this, because this is our reality, regardless or not if these things are happening. Like, yeah. And freak, the fact that it happened, like, targeting, you know, these spas and massage, like Matthew's mom is a masseuse, and she really wants to like move to Atlanta, and like, yeah, just to like imagine, you know, it could be anyone, but we're gonna get freaking guys. It's gonna be uncomfy.
Yeah. I also think too, like I guess the silver lining to all of this is like just how strong our community is like standing together, especially people within our age demographic too, because you definitely see that generational shift with like our parents, and like they're so like their way of thinking is like stemmed from like the environment they grew up in, right? Especially if they lived in the Philippines during martial law. So like they're like a lot more cautious and more likely to not voice their opinion, because like out of safety and survival. But like now I think we're in a unique position to really stand up for ourselves, like.
And I think also we need to owe this a lot to the Black community, because if it weren't for what had happened last year, we take it real slow as to how to stand up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because now we're so quick to create these resources and these marches and stuff like that. So this like revolution is starting.
The mass shootings and stuff like that, sometimes they're young, sometimes they're not. And I'm not gonna give empathy or like sympathy to like what they did. It's evil, and they're monsters. And what I heard, like one of my peers said, "Oh, he's just an idiot," and like, that's it? You're just gonna say that? Like, are you just gonna say like that's an idiot? We're not gonna do anything after that, and then just wait for the next idiot to do it? So I was just thinking, is like for some reason, like sometimes with the Asian community, or like at least with my family experience, it's like they kind of just see a problem, they say, "Oh, that sucks," they brush it off. And it's like, it's not my fault or my problem. So then like they don't do anything about it. And then when the next thing comes, they're like, "Oh, sucks." So like you keep hearing about these mass shootings, and then there's nothing on the news to stop anything, because they're not going to get rid of guns, because it's just a political like standoff that's just not going to happen. And so people just say it's like, "Oh, it's a tragedy," and stuff like that, or like people say stuff like that. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do about it? Are we just gonna keep sitting here and waiting for the next one to happen, and then say the same shit over and over again until like how many more needs to happen before you actually decide you want to do something? And that's what happened with the boiling over with the BLM. It's like it kept happening, and eventually they just got pissed off and went for it. So then, me personally, I think is like when they're monsters, yeah, but monsters are not born; they're created. They are those people, like their soul is lost when they make those decisions. They're gone. and they don't care about life and they don't care about theirs when they do that. And how did they get there? Like, what experiences, what did they learn for them to get there? How did they learn to be xenophobic? How did they learn to be anti-Asian? Where did they learn that that I want to take somebody else's life with me because of the so much pain that I want to trade out when I leave? How did they get there? And like, the dude was 21. Like, he's my age. So like, what type of life did he have to live to get to that point? While I'm living the same parallel, like feeling like I'm really happy. Like, how alone was he to get to that point? How evil of teachings did he have to like go through? Like, what type of dark stuff in his head did he have to go through? Did they have to go through to get to that point? And it stems from like experiences that they've had in life, like what their parents teach them or lack thereof, like the neglect that they had to go through, the environment that they're in, the amount of loneliness. And I'm not going to say that I feel sorry for them, because what they did is unforgivable. But what I will say is that I want to be preventative of it instead of being reactionary. I want to go in my spare time, go to high schools and talk to people about mental health, talk to them about venting out their stuff, giving them a space to not be alone, so they don't go down that spiraling path to where they get to that point, to where they become evil, where they become monsters. There's no forgiveness for them when that happens. But there is a point to where we shouldn't let that happen, and we shouldn't let it get to that point, and monsters shouldn't be created. Ultimately, it's their decision, but they're able to get to a point to where they have the ability to make that decision. But I really, really am uncomfortable with the way that society really deals with mass shootings. They just say, oh, it's a tragedy. They put in their piece. They say like, oh, we give our like condolences to the family, and then that's it. Like, to me, that's fucked. Like, that's asking to like just let it happen again, instead of, so whoever's left, whoever's my age, like, there may be lost cause, but like, we do not have to let the future be that way. And like, we have to find ways to give people spaces to not be alone. We have to like normalize mental health and like understand that there's kids that like go through some shit, and when people go through some shit, they're gonna end up dealing out some shit, and that's what happened. I'm not gonna sympathize or empathize with what happened. Maybe what I'm saying is it's like a fucked future if we don't change the way we look at mental health and the way that what people go through, because then they can do shit like that.
Woo! Nah, dude, Cam, I feel you, man. Like, this is exactly why I'm going into the work that I'm doing, is teaching mental health to kids. And I think the biggest thing that like is hard for us and everybody else growing up is the aspect of unlearning. Unlearning is the fucking hardest thing that we have to do as a society to understand and be compassionate and be sympathetic and empathetic to other people, because the reality is we are grown up to be messed up people in ways that we do not understand half the time. And I don't know, like, you made a good point, Maygan, about talking about BLM, because when everything happened, it felt so much faster. The reaction from the API community was so fast in developing resources for everything and trying to educate people. And I think the one thing with the Asian community, that's one part is unlearning, the other part is speaking up. That part is probably hardest due to how we Asians raise each other to be obedient, to be quiet in this realm of, hey, I'm growing you up to live this American dream and you need to follow the rules because you're here. However, I wrote about this phrase about, going to America to live a better life. And I think the Asian community needs to realize is when your ancestors and your parents and your grandparents tell you that we're here to live a better life. Living a better life does not mean bowing down to the person above you. Living a better life means speaking up and making a change in the life that you're living currently. And I think that is something that we need to embed in the community, as much as safety, but also being able to feel like this is where we get to live a better life like our parents and grandparents want us to do. Yeah, so
I guess that is why I wanted to really go back to the beginning, because I wanted to make sure that you guys are not alone and you guys are here for you. And I think everything that just what Cameron just said, is just, it was all on fire. It was everything that is need to be said. And I feel like how the media has been like portraying all these things that's been happening hasn't been right. It's been very dismissive to the point where it's letting, like what Cameron said, it's letting people kind of make it happen again, to the point where it's like building up to making it explode. But we're already tired, we're already frustrated, and it's really like, I think one of my questions that I really want to ask you guys is, how do you guys, what is the how do you empathize without being able to not empathize with everything that's happened? I don't know if that makes sense. Or like, I guess I was trying to say, like, how do you dehumanize people that, you know, the reason why they're going through this is because lack of emotional support from their childhood or something along those lines of what they experience. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I'll go really quick. So you said, like, how do you, like, kind of dehumanize? Do you mean, like, how do you separate the action and, like, the person? Is that kind of like what you're asking? You're gone. Like, there shouldn't, I mean, yes, there might be hope after you do it, but you did it. And, like, ultimately, I feel like that's your decision. That was your decision to take a life. So that's how I take it out of it. Like, you may be human, but that means that you're human and made that decision. And regardless of what you did back then, like, or regardless of what you went through, I feel like there has to be a tipping point. It's like, yes, you still made that decision. You made the decision to do that. So that's how I gauge that. There are people that are going through some shit and don't make that decision, but they did. And so that's how I, like, the thing, like, the excuse that the police officer made, he said he was just having a bad day. It's like, no, he had a bad life. He had a bad life. But a bad life doesn't justify taking somebody else's and making everyone else around them making everyone else's life around them so much worse because of what you do. So it's a selfishness to take somebody else's life, and there's no way you could justify or forgive anyone for doing that. So that's like
I think what really pissed me off, though, was like when that police officer made that press conference or whatever, was that he like tried to justify the killer's actions by saying that he had a sex addiction. And I'm like, that doesn't like even make sense. Like, stop like trying to like dehumanize me and my people to like just objects. Like, that's not, like, we're human too. I don't know. I could go off, but like I just have to like center my thoughts so that it's cohesive when I say it. But yeah, I was like,
that whole thing was such a clown fiesta, dude.
Right? Like,
It's like, so you gather your thoughts, but that whole thing was such a goddamn clown fiesta that it sounded like a bunch of kindergartners trying to not take the blame for what happened. And I was just like, are you actually kidding me? These are not fucking Legos that you can just put the blame game on, you know? And it was so,
my God.
like, that whole, like, sex addiction like excuse was such a God, I feel for my sisters, of color, and like I was just like, yo, first you're gonna basically minimize mental health by saying it's a
Right.
bad day, and then you're gonna say some fetishizing BS about having a sex addiction, and I was like, yo, those are two separate things. Together, you're fucked. But I was just like, this is actually unreal, and you're, and that was like my reaction when I first heard it. I was like,
Yeah, and then I remember like not even 2 days before, right? Like we were celebrating something so huge within our community of like just having more AAPI representation, like with the Oscar noms. And then not even 2 days later, this shit happens. I'm like, this is not the representation we were asking for. Like, are you serious right now? Oh my God. I cannot. It's a lot. And then yesterday I found out, because I'm in the Bay Area right now, there's like a group of teenagers. There's a group of teenagers that have made it this sick game to slap an Asian person that they see on public transportation. And they're already targeting like elderly, like Asian people, but also Asian women. Like this week alone, I've seen maybe 3 to 5 reports already of like Asian women or elderly people getting attacked. And I'm like for me personally, like I went on a run. I usually go on runs outside by myself and I usually listen to music. And I went on a run today and I was like, oh, you cannot listen to your music. You have to bring your pepper spray with you. Like do every safety measure you can, like run against the traffic so that you're facing the driver so you see them. And it's pretty fucking scary actually. And like I make it a point now not even to like go outside the house when it's dark.
I was in last quarter I was in a Asian American Studies class for for Asian American women, and I realized so there's like 3 males in that whole class, and to me I was like, there probably should be more, because I think Asian American women don't have to learn about themselves for it to be like, it's kind of like, I feel like men should be the one learning that, because when after being in that class, it was just like how much like the actions and non-actions of male counterparts like really affect how they do, like usually, and like how much it doesn't become a double standard where like the actions of women do not affect, like literally probably don't affect me, and it's up to the males to really figure that out, and it's really up to the males to like determine what they're gonna do with their privilege. Like me, I have like a running buddy, and like I say it's like, oh yeah, I usually run at night, but then now she's scared to run at night, so I have to make sure that I'm always running with her, like side by side whenever we go like running. And like they say like, and like for me, like I always take night walks like to just like de-stress and stuff like that, and they say, dude, I wish I could do that. And then it just like the cogs start throwing through my head. It's like they can't do that because my male fucking other males can like hurt them. And I'm just like, oh, that's so fucked, because my gender, my other part of the human race is like a danger to them. So I'm just like, that's so like stupid. And yeah, so that's why like it depends like how much are males willing to use their privilege to really help bring up equity. It doesn't have to be equality. It doesn't have to be whatever. It has to be equity to be able to bring up the people, to able to bring up their cisgender woman counterparts as well as non-binary, to get to where they have equal opportunity and like equal stake and stuff like that. So like the class was cool, but like now it kind of brings into questions like, what the heck am I able to do? And like how much is it systemic and how much is it individual, and like how much do I have at stake or not at stake, but how much influence do I have that I can help them while just being a college and like 100.
I feel like this whole like experience is traumatic for everyone. And like for Sam, you're saying, oh, when I go out running, I'm gonna take pepper spray with me. Well, for me, I don't go running, so I don't. But I don't know. I feel like I've been a lot more, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot more for like my, I don't know. I'm trying to say like counterparts, I guess, like my fiance or something, just because sometimes when other people of color are placed in a situation of
We built
like
our icons of
microaggressions and
future.
stuff like that, they don't necessarily know that it's happening. And Lord knows that could also be me until I go home later and I'm like, oh shit, that actually happened. But maybe it's because I just want to think of myself that I'm like a tough, bad bitch, that I'm like, oh shit, if I was ever placed in that situation where someone was like, you know, saying some shit to me or whatever, like, then I would go off. But that's never the case. Like, I go to Costco and, you know, there's a bunch of, you know, Caucasian people, and I feel like I'm always moving out of their way. Always moving out of their way. Not because like they're telling me to or anything, and they could easily like walk around me, but it's because I'm like, I don't know, like I'm just scared of upsetting them. I'm afraid of like creating a situation or an environment where they can easily target me. So I'm extra like nice and stuff. But and then I go home and I'm like, what the heck was that, Maygan? Like, I don't know. It's whoa, I just like choked on like but yeah, I don't know where that came from. I was just thinking about it while you guys were talking. I think it was completely irrelevant to Chachie's question, though.
No, but like going off of what you just said, I can also relate to that too. And I think for me, it has to do with like me unlearning the fact that it's me coming to the realization that it's okay for me to take up space and to do so loudly. Because like growing up, I was taught to like not really to like be obedient and like stay silent and like not draw any attention to myself. But like in the long run, I realized like that's doing myself a disservice, right? Because like I do have all these thoughts and I'm pretty outspoken in how I think and what my beliefs are. But yeah, like I noticed myself like doing those small things like, oh, like what I've been trying to unlearn is just to say sorry or like not saying sorry. Because like when I used to work at a PT clinic, like that would be just like a default word I would say, like if someone were to bump into me or if it was reversed or something. But then one of my friends told me, like, she like called me out on it. She was like, why did you say sorry? You have nothing to apologize for. And I'm like, you're so right. Like, you should only say sorry when you have something to apologize for. And like, and she was like, yeah, just like stop gaslighting yourself. It's like really hard to unlearn, but like sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it unless someone calls you out on it. And I was like, wow, like I'm really thankful that you said that, because like now I'm realizing all these things that I've been just gaslighting myself for. And it's like really mind-blowing actually to like reflect back and like unlearn those things. But yeah, as people of color and as women of color, like I think it'll be great for us to just really take up space in the ways that we're meant to take up space.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's something we just need to like write in lipstick on our mirrors.
Right?
And read it every day. That's so freaking true though. Like I feel like, especially for Asian women, I feel like it's almost universal for us to feel like we're burdened somehow.
And also too, I was writing this, I think in an Instagram post I did either last week, but what came to my head was like, oh, like what it means to be an Asian American woman or to be an Asian woman is that like we're taught to like give so much of ourselves to other people and to like have so much care and compassion to the point where we're not really supposed to ask for anything in return. And if we do, like that's a big burden. And I'm like, that's so fucked up. Like we're not like your like slave or anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like it goes both ways, right? Yeah.
Can someone give me a lesson? Like, are do you consider Filipinos like Asians or Pacific Islanders? Because I have no idea. Oh my gosh, Zach, you put his head down. I'm so sorry.
No. It's one of those things where it's really like, I think people that get too fueled about it, it just kind of.
Okay. Well, we
Yeah.
don't need to get riled up about this. I
think it was, yeah, because it was so weird because back when I was in high school, our Filipino dance like trifecta thing that was shared between 3 schools was called API. I was like, I don't think that's right. I was like, I don't freaking know. So at this point, I'm just like, I'm Asian American, I'm Asian, I'm Filipino. It's like, whatever. It's like, I don't care. It's more so like, I don't care, I'm Filipino. That situation where Asian and API hasn't like really come up at all.
Right.
Like they just put in either waivers or like stuff they have to sign up for, they literally just put Filipino. Like,
yeah, they do that now.
They do that because I don't even think we know. So
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, people are being so sensitive about it. I'm like, bro, you know, you can tag it whatever you want. Like,
Yeah,
as long as you got pride in your one culture, you know, like, who cares? Like,
just pick one and own it. It's like, because if you're API, you're not going to be the same as a Hawaiian because they're Hawaiian and you're Filipino. It's like, who gives a
it's so, I don't know. That's why I laugh, because I put my head down because there's some people that get so passionate about it for no reason, and I'm like,
yeah.
why?
I think honestly the right answer is whatever you relate to the most, right? Because ultimately that's how you define or identify with.
That's so true. Because like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm not Asian enough because or whatever.
I mean, that's like what's so unique about being Filipino, right? Is because like sometimes we don't feel Asian enough with our Asian counterparts, right? And it's different too, like especially if you're Filipino American, like other people will identify you as Asian, or like, I don't know, just like that dual identity of being Asian and American is so complex. But so beautiful at the same time.
One thing that like it's not necessarily like relating to, but like, so I always wanted to like go buy comics because I was like, oh, okay, so like I finally was on this break and I was like really getting into Marvel and DC, so I was like, hey, I want to go start like a comic book collecting.
Yeah.
So there's this, and after all this, so I went to my local comic book store on Monday, and I knew that, so the 2 owners are like old white guys. So like I came in and I was just like, ended up like, you know how I'm like for me, if you know me and like, if you know me personally, you know that I'm like the extroverted, like confident one that will go up to anyone and like if I need to take control of the situation, that I will, or like ask questions or like ask for direction or stuff like that. But I walked in on my own and I kind of just like do my own thing, knowing that I don't know shit or what to do about comics. But like for some reason I was afraid to talk to those 2. And like I made this like self-fulfilling thing. It was like, it's called self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, those guys are white. I think I don't want to make a situation like that. Like, and I'm POC. I don't know what might happen. So then at some point in my head I was like, dude, fuck it. They like they're running a comic book store. Like how effed up are they gonna be? It's like they love this thing, they love that. So I went up to them and then they're like hella nice. They helped me like get through the store and stuff like that. So it comes down, it was like, we have to remember, not all white people like that. It's like, but there's like a majority shit that's just been happening with the media. And so like now, like, and then I visited them again and they're like, oh, they're like so happy to see me. They're like, oh, we're glad you came back in, and like we were talking about like comics and stuff. So then now, like, whenever I come back to Manteca, I'm going to visit them and stuff. So it was fun learning from them. And, like, I'll never understand, like, the anxieties or, like, stuff of, like, Asian American women, because I just don't. And in terms of just actually living the experience. But like sometimes, like yeah, we're in a grocery store. Sometimes we just have to understand people are there to just get groceries. They're not there to like judge people and like stuff like that. But that's the thing. It's like it's so ingrained in our head that we're supposed to do that, or like we're in fear of stuff like that, and it really sucks because then it takes away from the shared experience that we have with other people. Because then we become standoffish and defensive when like you don't like. Sometimes it's like nice to have like a conversation with just like a stranger. Like you don't get that anymore because people are like scared and stuff. And like yeah, so I was just thinking out with the grocery thing, or like just being in Costco. It's like people are just there to get groceries. They're not there to like start fucking like hate criming people, I think. But like it's kind of like that. Like not to invalidate what you're talking about. It's like that. It's more to highlight that yeah, there's that mentality that we have that doesn't need to be there. And like yeah, it's just from the Asian American experience, I guess, and like from traditions and then the culture of like whatever we were taught.
You made me remember something that came up earlier. This idea of something to remember is that racism lives in everybody, in every like any single person of color. So I think it like dawned on me when Filipinos were talking shit about other Filipinos and bashing them like actually not like memes, but like for real.
The chismis rooms in every party.
Oh yeah, those are so toxic, dude.
But like seriousness and like full on like even Filipinos talking to their white friends about how shitty Filipinos are. I think that's another thing too. Is like with the idea, just the aspect of racism that we need to remember is that like it exists everywhere. Although the fear for a lot of continental Asian Americans is usually with white people. I think that's something that I stumbled upon too recently. Was like, oh my god, like this Chinese person is super aggro to this Korean person, and like, oh, just holy crap, bro! Like, you guys are crazy. We're not the end. You shouldn't be fighting each other. Like, this is makes no sense.
And that adds to like Asians not being a monolith. Like, we're not the same. Like, my dad was like, you guys had the same childhood. I was like, it's the same. I was like, no, the fuck? I was like, he's Chinese. I was like, I argued this guy went through some more shit because they're freaking nuts. But, or not, sorry, but like, it was like, no, it's not the same. It's like, no, it's like, that's the umbrella term Asian. And also, I like to, when I argue about this stuff, like, I always like to, I'm like very moderate. I like to hear both sides and like see and understand both sides too. So like, the word white itself is racist too. It's like, what? It's like, okay, you're white. What does that mean? It's like, I'm pretty sure Caucasian doesn't cover Italian, like French, like all that stuff. Like, it's the same. They do the same shit. It's like all the same shit with like Asian, white, black. It's like, it's not everyone's all the same. Everyone's culturally different, but we have these like blanket terms that just makes it easier. And like, that's what like in high school, we're all just called the Asians, but we're Korean, Chinese, like Indian, Filipino. It's like, you're not gonna tell me that all four is like the same. There's no way. We're all different, and we all just like, yeah. Sorry, I was just like, wow.
And just to validate is that it's really heartbreaking, and like we have to think about all these things, like all these checklists before we have to go out. We can't just go out normally. We have to have all our checklists. We have to make sure we have to keep adding onto this checklist just to make sure we're safe. But in reality, it's like we're battling this survival mentality that intergenerationally we have been passed on, and it keeps adding into the list. And how can we like dismantle all this? It's having those conversations. It's being an advocate for high school students. It's reaching out, meeting them in the middle, and just wanted to like land like a extra validation of like everything that was said here is just, it's needed to be heard. And also to add on the Asians and Pacific Islander and Filipinos, I feel like that is just labels that make up who we are, but honestly labels are just labels. I feel like we're more than what we are kind of described to be. It looks like he has something to say. You move the mic closer.
You know,
Oh, no,
I keep
I
looking
was-
at him. I'm like, what is he gonna say? What tea is he spilling now?
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, I love you guys. You guys are loved, and I wish safety for you guys. That's all. No, man, because like that's the thing is like here, like Chachie, you probably feel this too, but like just here on island, you kind of like part of you feels useless because part of your privilege is that we don't have to worry about that, you know, and the most that I can do is shout and curse and educate people about it. And like so sometimes like I've been feeling like a little ragey child like these days, but it's more of like it's so important like to have these conversations. And like, you know, like I was live streaming the other day, and I like opened up like this is a hashtag Stop Asian Hate stream. Like, you come here. This is a safe place for you to talk about what the hell is going on, where you're at. And so I had like a full like 3-hour stream of just people across the internet just coming in and talking about what the hell was going on, you know. And like for me, I needed to hear that because I obviously don't understand how it is out there, and so like my heart just continues to break with each story that is shed. But I know that my privilege needs to hear that. Yeah, and like I don't know, like the feel that you ladies have for, you know, talking about, you know, just the hardships that you're going through just for even a woman just hurts me every single time, because I've grown up with you know, like female friends all my life. Like my closest friends are all girls, and you know they live in like the Bay and like in Texas, and they're like, I think within the past week they both, like 2 of them, like just gave me like mental breakdowns, and I was just like,
Yeah.
you know, it was something where it was just like, oh my goodness, you know. I think it's just a lot. It's a lot going on, a lot.
I guess that kind of segues into my final question: is how can we support each other in ways that also is not, because we all have capacity, but how can we support each other without mentally overburdening ourselves?
The post that I saw, but basically the girl who wrote this, she made up a really good point, and I'll just read what she wrote. And she said, never have I seen Asian men yell or organize or protect to the same degree when Asian women have been screaming about the sexualized violence that is happening to us every day. And it's probably because violence is also happening by Asian men in our own community, by the people you call brother or homie, but y'all aren't ready to hear that. And I was like, wow, like that's an issue that's not nearly talked about enough. Because for me personally, I have some trauma from just other Asian men, and it's like, I think just the way that like Asian women are viewed by society, like we're just put down or just put in this box of like just being so hypersexualized and docile and obedient and silent. And while at the same time Asian men are being emasculated, so it like pits us against each other to the point where we don't even like support each other as strongly. And I'm like, wow, like if we have more conversations like this, like just imagine how much power and strength we would have if we actually, you know, just rode as deeply for each other, right? But yeah, it was just an interesting point that I saw come up, and I was like, I need to save this and like share it with people I know.
The way I see like communication, like being a so-called ally, is like not to, when you want to support someone, actually support them. Don't like take it upon like yourself to like, oh, I'm gonna post this black or yellow box and then not say shit for the rest of the time. It's like, no, that's performative. That's you like just saving face. It should be, if you're supporting somebody and allying with them, you should ask them what they want you to help them with.
Mm-hmm.
Actually listen to what it is and like be willing to 100% just go with what they not 100% go with what they say, like give them the space to say what they want and like say what support they need and do within capacity that you can. Like you shouldn't like be 100% subservient to the actions that you're trying to support or like ally with. If you like don't agree with some things, then like do within the capacity that you can and like be truthful and honest with you. Don't feel like you have to be gaslit. It's like, okay, if you don't post this, then you're like counted out or stuff like that. It's like, but I think the main thing that I'm trying to say is like communicate, actually ask what they want you to do, actually like actually support and like actually be a friend. Like do that.
Like with Cameron saying, you know, telling people, hey, what can I do to help? But also just taking that time to ask yourself what you need.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I need to do that too. And then like asking yourself that, and then if you have peers, friends, like legit telling them, hey, this is what I need from you. Like I know you won't be able to understand, but I just need you to be like open to empathizing with me or feeling angry about this with me. Like sometimes you just need that emotional like buddy to, because sometimes when you just sit in that emotion and you're like really upset and you're alone, you like second guess, oh, why am I feeling like this? Am I like being overreacted or overreacting to this or whatever? But just being like aware and vigilant of like your needs and stuff like that. And I think this is the biggest trend that we are in need of community.
I'm gonna say that I definitely needed the space. I think I don't know if you guys needed it too, but I needed this space a little bit. It just feels good to be here. Yeah, I was like, I wonder if I'm ever gonna be in the room with these guys again.
I'm here for it.
I feel like the more that we have done this, is this our second?
This is only our second meeting.
No, we feel so comfortable and like, who knows? You know, we definitely have to put ourselves in uncomfortable spaces. Like if wanted to join, other people wanted to join, like yeah, let's make them uncomfortable. But same, like I'm really glad to see you guys and to hear how you guys are doing. And to talk about this, because we're going through a lot of shit. We can't just pretend like we're not. We can't just throw this over our shoulders and keep on going. I think that's the thing about this generation is we move so quickly. We barely give ourselves time to grieve and to feel emotions. And that's why whenever we do, like whenever something happens and then, you know, we get a random like text or call, like, we just feel all the emotions because we just haven't forcefully created a space for ourselves. And I hope you guys can learn to practice that, regardless of, you know, if you're male or female. Like we all have our own shit.
That definitely happened for me last Thursday. Wow, it's been a week, but like I woke up and this was, I think, right after like I learned what happened in Atlanta, but like I woke up just feeling so tired and so unmotivated, and I didn't have any clients to train that day, so I was like, you know what, like today, like I'm just not gonna do anything. And like it was good for me to really just take that time to rest and not do anything. And like actually like just a random moment in the day, like I started crying, like, and I think it was just my body like finally feeling all the emotions I was processing the day before in my mind. And I was like, wow, like this is some shit, like this is some heavy shit, like it's okay to rest. Because like I think for me, like I think for most of us too, like in our generation especially, because we like are so keen on like working, it's just you forget that you'd really need to rest some like more often, and that's actually a good thing. So if you haven't done that already, take that rest day, like cry your eyes out, like do whatever you need to do to like make yourself feel good.
You gotta practice bathtub, go to Lush, buy a bath bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I did. Like I need it.
Exactly.
Candles and have a moment for myself because I have been feeling so exhausted these past, like, I don't know, these past couple weeks. No,
Yeah.
I've been feeling really exhausted. I've been feeling exhausted talking about it. I've been exhausted feeling scared. I've been feeling exhausted about thinking about the fact of why I'm scared. Like, why, like, just like sad that I have to feel this way. And just like, I feel exhausted. Yeah, gotta like try our best to be intuitive and reach out. It's not, it's not, it's not a shame to reach out. It's bad to post about how you're feeling. It's not bad to cry for help. It's not bad to take a crying selfie because sometimes that makes
I found that so interesting that some of my friends, my girlfriends, they like take videos of them crying. I'm like,
it feels so good. Like
Dude, yeah. I recorded a video like as I was crying, and it was just me like voicing my thoughts, and I still have it saved to my phone, and like I literally remember like me opening or starting the video off, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna post this, but this is mostly for myself because I want to remember what this feels like, and that's like why I think that's why we do it.
that is so like I just found that out like this year that people do that. I was like,
yeah.
huh?
I think at least for me, like I let go of my emotions through like doing artistic stuff, like drawing. I'll draw on my iPad, just like whatever the hell comes out. Like I talked to this about before. It's like whatever the hell comes out. If whatever comes out is scary, then I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm like a little messed up right now. Or like if it's a little sad or happy, then I was like, okay, whatever naturally comes out off my hand onto the iPad. And then also like either just listen to music or like dance, like especially dancing, like whatever. It keeps me like with dancing, like it just helps me like connect to something, like connect to the song, connect to every fiber of the song, every beat. So I'm able to like release, like let myself be connected to something. So like that's kind of like how I go about it.
I have this thing that I've been doing once a week, which is going outside. No. I like once a week I'll try to go outside. I'll park myself at my my favorite poke diner and lounge, and just sit by myself. I think like the other day, like I was in my fields. I was literally sitting at the bar, drinking whiskey, and reading poetry at the bar. And I
That's
was like,
a whole mood right there. I agree.
Yeah. So I was doing that for like a couple hours, you know, and I was just like, this is great. This is great. But I picked up a new instrument the other week. I got this electric the other week off of Facebook Marketplace. So been trying to do that, record some actual covers, and stuff. You know, Maygan, inspiration. Inspire me. Now I've had acoustic for a long time, but like I wanted to record like cleaner audio, so I got the electric. But yeah. So trying that. I think those are the like moments where like I'll just sing my heart out in the dark. Record, play back, and just keep going over and over and over again. Yeah.
And I'll instruct y'all, like, so close your eyes. And then, so we're going to breathe in for 3 seconds and then out for 3 seconds. So breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. So keep your eyes closed and imagine just a silhouette of your body. And inside of your body is just a whole lot of smoke, like a lot of black smoke. All this smoke is like the negativity, the toxic, all the anxieties, like anything that has just been like weighing you down or like making you feel like, like a little bit like shit. So as we take deep breaths and breathing out, I want you to imagine that black smoke leaving that part of your body, and then imagine like a light coming in, or like your favorite color, anything that you want to come inside of your body. And so with each breath that you take out, black smoke comes out, and each breath that you take in, the new positive energy, all that light will replace it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Let all that light come in and replace it. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. All that smoke leaving. Feel it leave. Feel the black smoke leave your feet. Keep breathing in and out. 1, 2, 3. So breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. In. Out. 1, 2, 3. Feel the black smoke leave your body and let the light come in. We're going to do 2 more breathes out and let all that black smoke leave your body. So breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Out. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Out. 1, 2, 3. So all your black smoke should be out now. Take a couple breaths just to get the extra black smoke out if you didn't make it through. And then open your eyes. And there's one thing that my director at Healing Episode tells me to do all the time. Like, so you don't have to say this in the mic or anything like that, but just say, I am your name, your last name, your full name, or however you want to go about it, and just say, I am here in this moment. So for example, I'm Cameron Gonzalez. I'm in this moment right now, and I'm here. And yeah, that's my little 5-minute de-stress the hell out before I go into an exam breathing exercise. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for so however y'all want to visualize that, like that's what I want to teach people. It's like you can control your body. Like you can control your mind, can control your physical state. So yeah, that's like a fun visualizer one that you can always do along with your breathing exercises. But now back to Zach's sample.
Tracksuits and red wine, movies for 2. Let's take off our phones and we'll turn off our shoes, and we'll play Nintendo, even though I'll always lose. And you'll watch the TV while I'm watching you. Oh, there's not many people I'd honestly say that I don't mind losing to. But there is nothing like doing nothing with you.